do one on genetic entropy by Dr. J. Stanford. He was the inventor of the gene gun. Great man of science. I mean, amazing, truly amazing. Anyway, the book's pretty intense. It's got it's a very amazing book, but I think it's a nail in the coffin for evolution, and I think there's no escape for those for them. The actual science of it is information exists in the beginning. God created it in humans and all animals, and mutations have been deleting and ruining that information ever since. And that is what the genetic scientists are seeing. They're seeing information that has been corrupted by mutations. Now, variations for evolution have to create new information, and that is not what's happening. The mutations, there's not a single case where mutations are causing new information to arise. What is visible is existing information has been mutated, and that existing information is actually being called a beneficial mutation. But they cannot account for the information that existed. They can only say it's beneficial after the mutation on the information has occurred. So that means basically information started in the DNA, has been corrupted ever since, and has been going down. The genetic entropy comes from the fact that the mutations are mainly harmful, or but a majority of them are just neutral. In other words, they're not actually destroying the organism too much. They're not noticeable. But the problem is every generation these mutations are building up. These neutral mutations are building up until basically there is an extinction in the species. Now, are there beneficial mutations? Remember, they're not information creating variation mutations. The mutations aren't creating new information, so the beneficial ones are basically irrelevant. They're actually being superseded by the neutral mutations. So, in a way, you've got an avalanche of build-up of neutral type mutations in the genome, compared to even the minute fragment like an ant-sized beneficial mutation. It's just going to be overwhelmed by the neutral ones to the point of utter extinction of the species. And the harmful ones, of course, there's more harmful options of mutations than there are even beneficial, supposedly beneficial. But whether harmful, neutral, or considered beneficial, none of them are creating new information, and therefore evolution itself has no mechanism. Natural selection can only select from information that's available. Natural selection doesn't create new information. That was supposed to happen by mutations. Now that genetics has proven, no, it does not, mutations do not make new information, natural selection cannot select from mutations information that's not there. Therefore, there is no viable mechanism in evolutionary theory for evolution to actually occur. So the crux of genetic entropy, Dr. Stanford, the crux of his book was basically there's a build-up in all the genomes of all the creatures in the world. Humans, when you analyze it, there's a huge build-up of neutral mutations happening every generation. So when you're breeding, if you're breeding at a young age, the mutations from the male aren't too many, and you might get away with maybe 70 mutations if you breed around 18. But if you breed around 40 or onwards, you could get up to 700 mutations for that generation. But every generation is increasing. So if you're saying an average of 100 to 150 mutations every generation, you're looking at extinction in about 200 generations. So they can see from the information that not only are we getting worse genetically with the genetic buildup of the entropy effect, but that you can actually do some implications. You can think about this for a second. If we're getting worse every generation, that means we should be able to go backwards, wind the clock back, and it should make sense that genetically we must have been better in the past. And that way, if you keep thinking it through, there must have been a perfect Adam and Eve with perfect DNA, which does fit the Bible rather perfectly. What it doesn't fit is the information can't be created using mutations, and it is only going down. We only see downhill problems. So evolution has a real massive. It is actually a completely dead end theory. At this point, I think Dr. Sanford has actually proven that observational science, like the genetic entropy, actually is a killer blow. We know that humans cannot have been around for a long time because of this build-up of mutations. We can't be millions, hundreds of thousands of years old, millions of years old, as a species even, because we would have been extinct long ago. And at the rate of mutational changes that we're seeing in the DNA, the build-up, it points to thousands of years ago, around 6,000, which seems to be beautifully fitting the Bible once again. Again, science is confirming the Bible, biblical account of our history. Evolution's naturalistic, materialistic answers are failing, and it now seems they don't even have a mechanism for evolution to actually happen. So it's only a matter of time for the scientists to actually all come to the same conclusion that evolution is not the mechanism, is not the correct account of history.